So good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming. I hope you enjoyed thoroughly last night, although if you're here, you probably haven't. We'll start shortly. Today's speaker hall will represent a hands-on agenda. After yesterday, we took a more visionary look on trends in the industry, and we'll start out by one of the most important aspects of the business, the marketing funnel. I will leave you in the trusted hand of Steven Hatzakis, Global Head of Research at forexbrokers.com, who is able to do it. Thank you very much.
Hello. Thank you, everybody, for coming. We have an exciting panel today about marketing with distinguished speakers that are going to talk and debate about, different sides of this subject, as marketing is one of the most important, areas for brokers to drive their business. And to start off, before introducing our distinguished speakers, I just want to give a background that in the past decade, marketing has come a long way. There's been an ongoing evolution of it, but there's also been some drawbacks, on the regulatory side, and this is what we're going to dive into actually in terms of, all the good that has happened, but all the bad that is causing, changes in terms of what's happening now and what's to come next. So without further ado, if everybody could just briefly introduce themselves, we'll start it.
Hello to everyone. My name is Zaidan Hartman. I used to run all the media side of investing.com until 2 years ago. After that, I joined to NetDania and co-founded the NDF Media Group, running all the publishing side of NetDania Group. And basically, that's it.
Hi, everybody. So my name is Romain Lebeau. I'm the Forex Spread Manager at Swissquote. So Swissquote is a Swiss banking group. We are listed on the Swiss Stock Exchange. We are specialized in online banking and trading services. So we work with mostly retail investors, professional traders, asset managers, and we also provide white label and liquidity solutions for retail brokers and commercial banks.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Anna Becker. I always add Dr. Anna Becker in artificial intelligence. And I'm in this industry for quite a number of years. I started as a founder of Strategy Runner, a company that was sold to MF Global in 2011. And since then, I'm a founder of and CEO of All Sherpa. And what we do big data. We do behavioral finance and helping brokers to achieve their potential, help brokers to do the best with their clients.
Hi everybody, my name is Pavel Bykov. I used to own Faunus Affiliate Network and Faunus Media. I'm all about traffic. We're doing marketing, funnels, lead generation. Before that, we were providing analytical services to the largest Russian retail, investment, and telco companies in terms of big data and related services. And now it's all about Forex and the traffic. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nick Lewis. I'm CMO at Leverett. Could I just ask a small indulgence from the audience? Would you mind holding your badges up so I can see who's brokers, who's affiliates, who's... Okay. Fantastic, thanks. So Leverett provides end-to-end solutions for Forex. I've been with Leverett for 3 years. I have a long background in marketing, both in Forex and in gaming. So hopefully it'll be an enjoyable panel.
Thank you all. So we're going to start with talking about best practices in terms of content and how best practices is evolving in our industry, on the FX side, whether it's gaming, CFDs, multi-asset, anything to do with trading. Either of you are, feel free to, whoever would like to answer this first. Anna?
Yeah, I would like to start this topic. If everybody remembers what happened to the Forex and what was before that, the world was very regulated and we had very clean marketing that even the marketeers that came into this world were puzzled of how they can market trading. And then Forex came and the hell broke loose and we started to market in very aggressive ways. And we created a kind of self-fulfilling prophecy that if we bring them client, demi clients, you know, and we sell them free bonuses. It is the easiest and the only way to work. And also, we heavily relied on the salespeople. We relied on the call centers to convert the clients. And basically, we forgot about the core. The core is, for marketeers, it is to understand the motivation and to sell the product. And I think now we're coming to the new era where we have new tools, which are big data, which are personalization, that will help us to go back and to sell the motivation.
Thank you. So we're basically moving away from bonuses and back to best practices and kind of going back to the old school. And so we're going to talk about, you know, how that ties into regulation later. But as far as content itself, what has been, you know, the best fit for, you know, for traders now, like different demographics or different mediums, whether it's video? And, you know, feel free, whoever would like to chime in on this. Aidan, if you could start, because your background with prior media companies.
I think that, you know, like, obviously, we are seeing every day now that the regulation is being stricted and stricted more and more. And all this free bonus, free money, all these type of funnels are not allowed anymore. And we're backing, you know, like to what happened, let's say 4 or 5 years ago, where people, you know, like search their motivation to learn, to be more educated, to have, you know, some kind of an engagement with the funnel itself, if it's selling it by teaching you technical analysis or the economic events and how it's affecting the markets. More educational, more behavioral.
So what's the most effective, you know, sought after materials? What's working the best right now in terms of content?
It's very, you know, like it differs between, you know, geos sometimes, and even, you know, it's like the lifetime value is also some kind of a condition, you know. It's like people that are having more money usually will go to the technical analysis. People that are want to trade, even, you know, like take advantage of the news, then they will read the economic events, how it should affect, what is the forecast, and do it like that. Also, from the other end, the call centers are sending it pretty much the same. They need to identify the user and then to approach in the right way.
So can we have any more concrete examples in terms of, you know, what is working the best from these different areas, whether it's an advanced trader using an economic calendar or a, you know, beginner or anything in between? If we could have some details of like what's really working, you know, what's successful for firms or for brokers.
You want? Yeah, we're all ready to answer.
Okay.
So I think what we see for the beginner, for example, what works is very quick introduction to the product. So if you have Flash platform, Flash possibility for him to enter and put the first trade based on something, then it's the best funnel for attracting the beginners.
So make the user experience easy when they first log in to start trading right away.
Yeah, immediate.
For beginners.
Not simple, but immediate.
What other types of content or mediums, whether it's video content or educational, is working the best right now?
I think on our side, what we see is that we provide market reports on a daily and weekly basis, and we send it through newsletters. And actually, this medium is still very performing because we see that our database is growing in a very organic way, which is nice. So we have clients, but also external people subscribing to those newsletters. So for us, it's a good way to show also our expertise, our know-how. And we also bring in the meantime value to the people. And we see that based on the type of content that we deliver, so when it comes to the daily market brief that we deliver every day, we have different sorts of traders. Okay. And when it comes to the technical report, here we see much more advanced people going into the details, you know, of chart patterns and so on. So the newsletter...
News and research is working now for conversion, or what type of traction are you seeing there?
So you mean in terms of...
Like, are these existing clients that are just trading more now because of this
content?
Definitely,
yeah.
Or is it new customers that are thinking about opening?
So I would say to give percentages, we have like 2/3 of our database, it's our existing clients. Okay. And the other third is journalists, external people, asset managers who subscribe to this newsletter also to have an insight of what's going on the
Nick,
market.
you would like to chime in on this?
I think one of the challenges I have, like being in this industry, is the fact that it's so far behind, like thinking, like in terms of marketing, modern marketing. The actual content starts way, way, way before you even know who the trader is. There's a point where each person, each consumer, goes through a level of discovery, and from discovery into investigation, into picking the brand that they want. Your content needs to be able to apply and engage before you even bring a trader towards your platform. Once they're in the platform, there's plenty of like content, and I'm sure everyone on this panel can give you good hard numbers on which ones work best and which ones don't. But for example, like we write content, article after article after article, published on a whole array of different websites, specifically geared not to sell the product or to sell the company, but to give information and to give that brand awareness so that when the trader comes or when the client comes, they're already familiar with the brand.
Excellent. And where are you noticing, traders engaging the most, whether it's on the platform or on an article?
It's very different for each trader as they come in. So the trigger point that brings them into the platform, we see it through the automated systems that we provide and the automated funnels that we provide. The traders come in and they engage in a different way to the platform. So if you already know what your keyword is or what the key initial idea was, you can guide that person to the right content. An advanced trader would go more towards the analysis.
So brokers could personalize it.
Yeah, and then you guys tend to go towards the tutorials and towards the easier trading and the more simplified tutorials.
Excellent. Pavel, would you like to chime in on this? And also, I would like to ask you, how does your firm monitor brand-related content? I know you work with affiliate networks, so how do you monitor this, and what are your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, first of all, the difference, if there is one community that knows how to sell, it's affiliates, okay? And let me give you, I'm coming more from a practical world, so let me give you three tips, a few tips on how do you approach clients effectively. In order to sell nowadays, as we're talking about 2017, you have to give people free content, which really makes sense, which is very useful. Give them ebooks, give them free videos, give them videos how to build exactly a certain trading strategy. Engage or give them the toys. Look at CopyOp. Right? Look at IQ Option, which is a great product, for instance. And it's all about gaming and engaging people so they can quickly enter the game and make the first steps. So the thing is, in order to convert effectively in 2017, you need to give people, which are bored most of the time, something that they really want, and those are the toys.
So the days of $5,000 education packages are over, basically, which is probably a good thing because...
No, not at all. Not at all.
I thought you said free content.
Okay, free content, but you can also have some structures, okay? It's a proper affiliate marketer. But the thing is, it's nothing wrong with the education. Education is fine when you interact with the people, okay?
And this is a point we're going to come back to because, there's been a lot of misleading content from, unregulated companies or affiliates or, operating in jurisdictions where there's no regulatory framework. And I feel that this has, and I'm sure you'll all agree, made everyone else's job harder in the industry as the regulations start to squeeze on marketers and affiliates.
I think you touched on a really, really keen point here. There's a problem with the regulation, okay? The problem with the regulation is it's punishing the good guys. None of the bad guys are being punished. Right. It's not like gaming in Italy where you can't have a URL up for longer than 24 hours. And until that balance is redressed, we're going to have a big problem.
Right. And we'll come back to this in our next topic. But how can brokers make partnerships work? This is, I think, something that is important. Where are partnerships failing? So,
yeah. Okay, maybe I can answer this because we have a lot of experience working with many brokers. But just to answer quickly your question, how do we monitor the content? Using very, very well-known tools, SimilarWeb and Alexa and Google Analytics and all this stuff. So it's really easy nowadays to see how content is really working, how the content funnel is working. When it comes to brokers' relationships with affiliates, it's always brokers, they need affiliates to send the good traffic. Affiliates, they need brokers to convert. That's the ultimate point of the game. And what needs to be improved, I always think it's about the personal relationship. Big affiliate, with a certain broker, in order to send a good traffic, to see a good conversion, you need to have a very good relationship on a personal level, because apparently it's a lot of things that you need to discuss.
But when those things are in place, where are, you know, brokers and affiliates still failing that are either not reaching their targets in time, or, you know, their strategies just aren't working? Where do you think there's big room for improvement?
First of all, I think it's lack of trust in many cases, and basically they just need to be more open.
Okay, anyone else on this subject of, you know, where brokers are failing or where affiliates are failing in terms of making, you know, the marketing affiliate IB relationship better?
I think that, you know, today, and we have all the tools in order to measure that, but we have to fit the quality of the traffic to the quality of the sales rooms of the brokers. Sometimes there is a huge gap between the quality of the traffic that's being sent to a specific broker, and even though the traffic is good, it's not converted because the sales teams is not educated enough, and eventually, you know, if there is no trust between the seller and the potential client, it will never happen.
Right, or vice versa if the lead quality is low,
Right.
and you have really good salespeople. So
The same.
that's an interesting point. So I think that's, you know, to segue into our next section, what are the trends in customer acquisition costs? You know, there's been a lot of competition over the years, obviously, you know, whether it's keyword advertising or, you know, CPAs, you know, on the affiliate side, and even IBs and rebates and other commercial structures. So what trends are you noticing there, Romain, if you'd like to?
Yeah, clearly we see that the customer acquisition costs are rising year after year, for the simple reason that today it's no more a story of one click and go. You have to be present simultaneously on several channels, so it's not only you buy keywords, you know, people come on your website and the deal is done. You have to make branding, you have to work on your brand, you have to be present on social platforms, you need to work with partners, affiliates. So all this has a cost, obviously, and it not multiple your budget, but let's say that if you compare to 10 years ago, this is clear. I mean, this customer acquisition cost is definitely rising. Yeah.
Are there any numbers that any of you could share in terms of, you know, CPAs, whether it's in a specific region, like in the Eurozone in Europe? Obviously, it varies per country.
Well, in Switzerland, I mean, which is our domestic market, it's clear that the customer acquisition cost is on average around 2,500 Swiss franc per trader. And if we compare to Italy, where we intervene as well, here the cost is mostly around 1,500, 1,700 euro per trader, per funded account, let's say. Of course, in China, it's still a bit lower, but it's really depending on the region. But region, competition, and also the level of living of people. So that's why in Switzerland, we have such high costs as well. Yeah.
Anyone else like to add any numbers or figures? Pavel, if you have any data you could share.
When it comes to CPAs, for example, then if we're talking about the regulated brokers, qualified FTD, which is the first deposit made by the client, in Europe, we're looking at somewhere between $400 and $600. Okay. It's that big, and that's the problem and the question of the binary options, which made this happen. In other countries, it varies a lot depending on the broker, but the usual numbers for the CPAs are 200 and higher.
We're going to segue real quick to the CPM, CPL, CPA, all these different you know, channels that are used on the commercial side. Which marketing strategies are becoming ineffective? You know, from, you know, which ones do you see are dying out versus, you know, which ones are working more successfully?
Yeah.
Anna?
I would like to agree with both panelists. I think we are, as an industry, a little bit stuck in our own ways. Instead of copying other industry, we're copying each other. And what it brought us to, that there is a brand new world in marketing and advertising that e-commerce and other industries embraced, and we're still behind. And this world is about big data. It's about understanding the client, and you have technologies that basically can tell you what is client motivation, what is he buying, how much money he has, what is interests him, and so on. And this technology is already used by, again, many other industries. And what we uncovered in our industry, that we have many misconceptions. For example, even smaller binary brokers, they think that they attract gamers, they attract low-end clientele. Apparently, we all attract traders. We all attract financial savvy clients. And for these clients, we need to offer them, of course, all the motivation of the traders, excitement and lack of boredom and the rest of the
I think when you look at specifically at the channels themselves,
yes, please.
I'll go back to the question. With ad blockers, obviously the days of like paying blindly for impressions on banners is dead. Okay. I think there's a rise definitely in video content. There's a rise in very targeted AdWords. Specifically, AdWords has fantastic tools. Anyone who's dived into AdWords and really understands how it works, right down to the custom affinity audiences where you can actually start defining like really, really targeted like campaigns. That's one key area that's definitely on the growth. Right. Another area which the industry doesn't embrace yet is more mass media. You know, there's only a handful of brokers who've really gone out and said, I'm going to put on mass media because there's a fear that you don't really understand what your CPA is. You know, you can't really put it down.
What do you mean by mass media? What do you mean?
TV. Okay. TV is affordable. Even for a small broker, it's affordable. It's down to you, like to analyze your data and find out how you make that your return on investment. But it's there.
Do you think that fear is because of maybe difficulty in measuring the performance?
I believe that's the fear right now, and I think the second fear is, and you know, no disrespect to the affiliates in the room, including the guy sitting next to me, but an industry that's dominated by 80% affiliate traffic has a problem. Okay, it has a problem.
So this is a good point. I think it helps us move into our next topic, which is, you know, where do you feel the industry is headed given the regulatory squeezes going on marketing, and how that might change in a couple of years? You know, maybe affiliates will have to be regulated.
I want to just take a little bit of the side. There's two industries that are happening right now. There's the West and the East. The East has a different set of standards and a different way of marketing that's working and is booming and is doing really well. Unregulated, but regulated by themselves. Okay. When we look towards the West, you know, it's going to come down to people are becoming more and more educated, but the squeeze is doing a good job as well. At some point, the regulators are going to understand that the partnership between the broker, the trader, and the regulator is broken. Okay, at that point, they'll start going after the bad guys. Okay, the guys who stay in and the guys who survive will understand that they have to provide quality service, and they'll make their money.
Yeah, exactly. I fully agree. This is also what we notice on our side. We are a regulated Swiss bank, regulated by the FINMA, which is one of the most demanding regulator in the world. And what we see, what our sales team are noticing is that the more we have regulation, the more professional also IBs, affiliates become. And I think this is a good thing for the clients, the partners, and also the brokers. Right. So let's say we see that the industry also professionalize itself thanks to the regulation. But as you mentioned, in the West, it's also a different level of education and experience compared to the East regions. Yeah, absolutely.
So does everyone agree that you know, affiliates are going to eventually have to become licensed or regulated or under more scrutiny, and that there could be potentially consolidation in that sector?
Absolutely, yes. One quick point. Affiliates, a lot of affiliates, they came to Forex, and they're now coming to Forex from gambling and betting. And that's the thing that has happened, and basically demand was met by supply. So you can't really blame affiliates because they brought all the technologies, and actually it's very natural that they're trying to sell things aggressively and push aggressively because they're allowed to do so. When it comes to regulation, I think affiliates are going to be regulated for sure. Even now, we see the tendency that affiliates are obligated to give their passports and give their IDs, so there is a full verification, and that's I believe is a good trend for punishing the bad guys. But affiliates must be regulated. So that's for sure.
We've seen IBs regulated for many years already, and that has, you know, made it difficult for some IBs to operate. You know, in the U.S. there was a huge consolidation of IBs. from the NFA's squeeze. You know, they used to require to pre-approve marketing materials. So could that happen also on the affiliate side? Or Anna, do you have some thoughts you'd like to add?
Yeah, I would like to just continue one kind of phrase on the previous subject. What I see is that brokers are taking things in their own hands right now and trying to do the good work of marketing, and since they are squeezed out of the affiliates. And they are starting to do that in the right ways. And concerning, I think, regulation of the publisher and the rest, I think you mentioned that in different areas in Turkey, it's already done. We already have the regulation over the publishers. And I think it will be done similar to what it was in the United States when all the parties, like IBs and brokers, all the members of regulated members were obliged to take responsibility over all materials they bring clients to them. So it's not necessarily that everybody will be regulated, but the responsibility will be heavily on IB. And
right. So more stricter rules coming for marketers and in the affiliate space and in the IB space, I guess. In terms of steps that brokers and affiliates could take to improve their conversion, what immediate steps can firms take, whether it's an affiliate, whether it's a broker? I think this is something everybody cares about, when you go into the office and you're thinking, how could you improve your conversion rates and all your other key metrics? What are the key steps that companies can take?
I think number one, employ good, decent automation and personalization. It's available and it works well. At some point, you can't keep growing and paying and getting less money back without something giving. And the way you can do it is by lightening the load on the human interaction. At the end of the day, what you're trying to produce is an assisted buying decision. At some point, yes, an agent is going to get on the phone to someone, physically speak to someone, but it doesn't have to be someone who engaged with the platform 2 hours ago and is now on a train somewhere else or sitting in the bathroom, It has to engage, and it has to engage with the right message. And that way you can be more streamlined in the way that you're offering, more cost effective.
So you said more automation?
Automation and personalization.
And personalization, okay.
Yeah, I like
to reduce the redundancies and the administrative burdens.
Yeah, I like to give the example of that. When you're browsing through Amazon, you don't expect personal assistant calling you and saying, would you like to buy this type of tools or this type of books? So we came to a little bit ridiculous side of calling every client and not trusting them enough to be interested.
So that's the golden standard, Amazon, that all the brokers should be shooting for in terms of the personalization.
I think even that it's very expensive service that we're giving, it's not necessarily that it can be assisted and self.
I don't think it's so expensive because we actually sell it quite cheaply, but.
So what about affiliates? What can they do to improve immediately their results?
What I see, what I see is that affiliates are also going to big data and they're going to advanced tools. And I think their first question that they ask brokers is, how bad can I go? How low can I go? And I think the first step is.
It's interesting. Which affiliates are you interacting with? So they ask these kind of questions. But I completely agree that if broker can do something, then affiliates should do that. In order to sell, you need to not just build a website or educational portal. You need to set up a complete lead machine, meaning that it has trigger email, it has push notifications, it has a proper video contact, it has the funnel built in a multi-steps. So the guy is really interested in coming back to this website, to this funnel all the time. It comes to creating serious products, a serious lead generator that broker is comfortable working with, and that is very clear. The rules of this funnel are very clear. It's not about make money funnel, which you can send the traffic easily, and then you change the funnel. So that's the point of 2017.
Yeah. Romain, you like to add?
Well, I partially agree with what you say because investing in automation solution is a good thing, but this implies that you have already the traffic on your side. So for me, I think that if you want to really improve your funnel, the first thing you have to invest in is the tracking. So understand what is your attribution model. As I said, it's no more a one interaction story. people, they need several interactions with your brand prior converting or consuming your product. So you need to understand what is the customer journey, what are the different interactions, and at which level do they intervene in the conversion path. And I think this is the first thing people should invest in, because if you don't understand the way your customers behave, then for me, sorry, but it's become very tricky to improve your marketing performance at scale.
And is this tied into like a CRM or the marketing side, or is it all cohesive? Because how do you track that customer journey so much where it's also integrated with the user experience, so that when clients sign up, you know, the developers of the platform are communicating with the other departments, so they're all on the same page?
I mean, for us, the business is online, so the core of this is the website, okay? And today it exists several advanced tracking solutions that you can implement on your website, and then working with pixels, you can measure post-impression, post-conversion. Today, if you use only Google Analytics, you have only this last interaction view. So you have, let's say, a partial image of what's going on, but you don't have the full customer journey. So for this, you need to invest in specific solutions.
In-house solution.
And technology. Attribution model for me is really the key.
Any other concrete examples of you know, what brokers can do immediately to improve?
I just want to elaborate about what was mentioned, the fact that all this process are being measured usually by retargeting pixels. This is the way that all the data is being gathered, and then you can come to some kind of conclusion what needs to be done and what is your, let's say, key metrics that defines your potential client, and to approach him in the right way.
Okay. Could you elaborate on that further, like, and give some examples perhaps of how
you
that
know,
could...
At the end, and again, you know, no offense to no one, but the brokers are selling the same, you know, like at the end, you know, but still every broker has his strengths and what he stands for, and try to emphasize in what he's providing to as a user experience to the client. And he should, you know, like emphasize those strengths in front of him, and try to approach him accordingly in order to eventually get the highest conversion.
Right. No, I think that's a good point for firms to identify their real unique selling point, if there is any, because like you said, a lot of it is similar, but identifying what's different and, you know, emphasizing that. Any other advice or suggestions on, you know, actions that either brokers or affiliates can take to get better results?
I think you've got to look at building your brand correctly. You know, at the end of the day, what you're selling is yourself. You know, you, the person. We all in the business of people, regardless of where you work. So, and you know, people are becoming savvy. You know, people look around, they read, they investigate, and you need to invest also in that side. So, you know, that's what you're selling.
I agree. With this point, look at iFXEXPO, for instance, IQ Option. They invest a lot of money into brand management, and it works. But when it comes to interacting with a client physically, then you have to catch their attention all the time. And you don't sell by saying, okay, we have 0 spreads and the best conditions, and that's basically it. You have to say, here are the 7 proven strategies that you can use to win in 2017, for example. That's the point. You have to catch attention all the time and to keep the engagement. And of course, the brand management is the big thing.
Anna, where do you think brokers are, you know, what's the biggest mistake they're making?
I think what I saw, and I enjoy having due diligence with diligence of many brokers, and what I can say is, you know, Anna Karenina's statement that happy families are all alike, and the ones that are miserable, they're all different and miserable their own way. What happens to the brokers, the ones that they succeed, they have very strict understanding of who they are and what they want to achieve. The ones that running their company is A/B test, meaning they're trying to get somewhere, they have, you know, the stone and they're not getting through. They're creating themselves the history of failures, and they're not getting to where they need to be. So there are many different mistakes, and there are not one mistake that I can say is working. And I think we all made mistake of money making and call centers and all other things. But again, we're caught in our own success as well.
Right. I think it's sort of paralleling what Nick was saying about branding and you know, defining, I guess, their, you know, their mission statement or, overall
Exactly,
message.
exactly.
And pros and cons, like you were saying.
I see as well a recurrent mistake that all the brokers, I mean, most of the brokers do, is proceeding to bad client communication when we have some black swan events on markets. And this, we saw it. So I'm not going to give names, but we saw many cases where, after the SNB event in 2015, we saw in the press that some brokers, they applied some very, I would say, exotic slippage practices, and the way they were communicating with clients, and I think this is very bad for the industry. It doesn't elevate, the level of everyone. So I think if there is a big mistake to point out, is really also this one. Yeah.
I think that's a good topic for another panel. But on the marketing side, we spoke earlier about which strategies are becoming ineffective. Which ones are becoming most effective? If we could circle back to that for a moment, I think that could be of value to the audience. Where should they focus more in terms of, whether it's Google Ads or just getting their content to rank higher, organically?
Yeah, I think the mention of multi-touch when we're speaking to the client multiple times before he converts. I think a big focus on the demo experience and the product. Also, all the standard, retargeting and other techniques that are already existing in other industries. And again, my advice, look at other industry and see how they do things.
I'd like to ask the audience, how many people booked a flight directly from their airline? Around 5–10%? Okay. That's my answer. Look, there's a lot of room for a lot of people to play in this industry, and there's a lot of different ways that we can engage, and start that journey.
Right. No, that's a good point. I think a lot of companies are probably over relying too much on perhaps third parties, whether it's a marketing agency. But I think there's probably room for both in-house and out-house. What are your thoughts on that? In terms of how can a firm balance between investing in their own resources versus paying third parties? Anyone?
Look, when it comes to marketing, I'll be very honest with you. It comes down to ROI.
Right.
That's it. That's the bottom line. If I make money, I'm good.
Right.
I don't really care where it comes from, whether it's in-house or out-house.
Sure.
I'd like to have a nice balance between the lot, and I'd like to manage my exposure on my budget amongst a whole different bunch of channels. But I don't really mind as long as it's performing.
So real quick, we have just kind of a hypothetical, where's the next Airbnb, Amazon, Tesla's a bad example, Uber, where's the next kind of business like that coming perhaps in finance? You have some of these startup robo-advisors that are trying to make some digital automated solution that just gets a million applications overnight. Is there room for something like that in Forex or in multi-asset trading?
Okay. There is one interesting indicator on the market related to affiliates. Affiliates, they left binary industry, moreover, like in probably autumn of 2016. No big affiliate was promoting binary in a hard way that he was doing before. Now, so it's kind of an indicator. If you want to know what's going to be the next big thing, listen to affiliates, talk to affiliates, and listen to their thoughts. The next big thing, to my opinion, will be a mix of a gambling, gaming, and finance, which is going to be very accessible, going to be very simple, going to be very gamish, and it's going to be actually a new kind of a game. Interaction, engagement.
Does anyone disagree with that?
I see something completely different because I look at it from a technology perspective. We're seeing a big rise in social trading, in copy trading. And I think that's the next area of engagement, because nothing gives you a better feeling as a consumer to look out and say, other people are doing it and I feel good about it, and to simplify the process. And I think that's something that we've really seen, right down to the fact where we have money managers who say, please create me a micro community so that I can show my portfolio to my clients.
That's definitely growing with social.
Yeah. I'm talking about the wider audience, which is not being touched so far. It's a lot of people that never heard about binary or finance or trading. So this kind of a massive product, I think, is the next big thing in terms of finance.
But where is that coming from? Where is the next, You think it's going to come from gaming, like using gaming technology or something?
It's going to definitely come from people that were doing binary and Forex in the past.
Because for the new market entrants,
there were a lot of ideas.
Okay.
Even today and this month, I've seen many products. Yeah. So definitely something like this will be happening.
I think we are in the middle between investment and gambling. And we see both directions that taking place. For example, Robo it made a huge start, and they're very successful in bringing clients. And I think they're bringing the same clients. They're bringing clients that don't understand in finance. And we see the other side, which is, again, we all hear about this, about diamonds industry and other proposals, where you touch upon the finance, but you do the gaming or gambling. So I think it's, we still don't have this product, but it's already coming. It's already, we hear about these things that, and again, we will go either up or down to the gaming, gambling, and finance.
We're short on time, so you have one last point you want to make on this?
Just one last point. I wanted to come back on what you said before, Anna, regarding Amazon. So I think the power of Amazon, regardless the logistic aspect, is really the way they personalize the experience on their website, okay? And also the way they use the power of community with the user's review. And we strongly believe at Swissquote that user-generated content is also something that we can leverage much more, and which will be much more present also in modern marketing strategies. Yeah.
So more personalization, more
more social content, more sharing.
Excellent. Yeah, if we have time for a last question for our panelists, you know, what technology or offering that you're using now is helping your business the most? Like in terms of marketing, something that's been, you know, picking up that you're investing more in, or something that's been working for years that you're just growing. If you could each just give a brief bullet point summary of, you know, what's working best for you on the marketing side.
From our side, usually it's all a matter of analyzing, you know, the layers of pricing and try to provide the best ROI to our clients. So, you know, there are the tools of obviously DFP as an ad server and other tools that are helping us supporting those type of activities, but not something special. You know, we are from the side of the publisher, it's a bit different.
Yeah, on our side, we are actively looking into providing new ways of trading. So we believe actually that augmented reality and virtual reality can have a strong impact on the way we trade. And we already released a virtual reality trading app for our Swiss market on the equity trading side. And we saw a strong engagement because it provides a complete immersive experience, and it's totally a new thing that traders are not used to. So we deeply believe in those technologies, yeah, for the future.
And in terms of, so that's where you guys are investing now.
Yeah,
but you're not seeing any traction there, or people trading through the VR yet, or?
No, of course, it's not where we do the big volume. That's for sure. That's for sure.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Anna?
We stepped upon something interesting just a few months ago called third-party data. It's a big data that apparently on each of us it's collected, and whenever we go on the internet somewhere, it's recorded. And for example, I can know if you are interested in gaming, if you purchase some expensive thing, if your motivation is following, or if your character is following, and so on. So when we're talking about personalization, even before you came to the site, this information is collected and available. So it's working for the both acquisition, you know, and conversion and retention in order to create this personalization.
Okay, so you're using data analytics to drive the personalization.
Data analytics based on third party like Nielsen and Bluekai and Latame and others.
We're thinking in the same direction with Anna all the time. We're a Russian company, so apparently we have developed our own API and our own tool. What we do is we try to analyze all the sources of the traffic in one single place and then measure the efficiency by answering the question, what exactly has happened with this customer? So we're getting the data from Facebook, from Google, from RDB networks into a single API, and then we see what's happening, and we optimize based on this data. It's all about the traffic and the flow of the traffic.
So that's working best for you. That's where you're investing your focus and your resources.
Our clients, I can do it from two sides, from the broker side and the B2B side. Our clients are using Optimate, which is our marketing automation. Everyone's speaking about big data, and big data is really, really important. The biggest fear is what you do with the data afterwards. And that's where our product comes into place, because it actually builds the marketing funnels for you and actually works the data on your behalf. From our side, I'm going to give everyone a tip, because it's really hard to come here at like 10:45 in the morning after a party. Go back, Google how to target my competitors' traffic, okay? There's an article, I think it's about the third or fourth hit down there that has 5 points on it, including video and custom affinity audiences. It's a fantastic article, and you'll learn a lot.
Thank you. So I would like to give this chance to the audience. If anyone has any questions you'd like to pose, either generally or to a specific panelist, feel free. If we're just waiting for a microphone.
Hi.
Okay, thank you.
Hello? Okay.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Helen, Marketing Manager from FX Primus. Thank you very much for sharing so candidly some of your CPAs. That's quite interesting to hear. I wondered if you'd be so bold as to share a tangible example with me from each of you of what has actually worked for you in terms of conversion from the messaging side, because, you know, quite honestly, a lot of what Forex brokers are offering is quite similar to what their competitors are offering in terms of the spreads, the instruments. How do you differentiate, and what is converting for you?
Maybe I can answer already. Please. So on our side at Swissquote, we work a lot on the branding aspect. So this is really the way we want to differentiate ourselves from the competition, because as you mentioned, we all sell the same products on almost the same platforms and at the same pricing. So we do a global sponsoring with Manchester United, and every season actually we work on branding campaigns. So this year I was before talking about virtual reality. This year we create a full story of 4 episodes that run throughout the season with 360-degree videos. And actually we saw a lot of traction around this, also on the football community and on the trading space as well. So this is really the way I think you can differentiate yourself, is really working on your brand, on the image, the style you want to have, and also the brand associations you want to make. Yeah.
I think it comes down to where your source is from as well. You should know, like, basically your traffic source and what their trigger point was when they came in, by the content that they read or by the keyword that they reacted to, and then therefore the messaging carries on from that point. That's what led them in the first place.
Yeah, don't worry too much about competition. You need to talk to the client. So basically you need to understand, he's not talking about like you trying to go and to compete with others and to show the difference between others, but you need to talk to him and say why he needs to start trading. So you don't talk about zero spreads or things like that. You talk about why trade.
Thank you. If we could move to the next question, just because we're a little short on time here.
Hi, Mark Durrant from Bloomberg Media. I just want to pick up on the branding point, actually, and you made a very good point there. For this expo, we conducted we commissioned a survey with investment trends to look at key drivers for what makes people go between one broker and another. And very much at the top, it was all about trustworthiness as well. And I wanted to sort of talk to the panel and ask them, why does everybody in this industry spend most of their time talking about acquisition and hardly any of their time talking about branding, when actually it's really branding that makes the difference? If you look at the biggest people are here, the IGs, yourselves, you know, Swissquote, CMC, FXPro, they are the people that are actually investing in brand. And yet it's hardly ever talked about. What do we think?
I think you're preaching to the choir.
You'd like to chime in?
Yeah, concretely, what's your question? Because
think he's saying.
Yeah, because I think what we're talking, we're saying that the big ones didn't understood it, and the small ones, they feel that they don't have a brand yet.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, it's
probably a
till they
matter
grow.
of
Yeah.
maybe a matter of budget as well. Perhaps the smaller firms, you know, aren't
yes.
yet in the position to invest in the branding.
That's also a myth. To create content and to distribute that content does not cost a lot of money.
Right, on that level, you're right.
It also doesn't cost a lot of money to train your staff into speaking like politely to your clients and to sell the point that you're a trustworthy brand.
Sure. Do we have time for another question, or?
Do we have more questions? It should be a real quick one.
The guy at the back kept his hand up right from the beginning.
Yeah, he was diligent in that.
Thanks. Hi, Tal, founder and CEO of Globe Sales. It is a quick question and a simple one, even though I want to challenge you guys. Any thoughts about Instagram, LinkedIn, in terms of traffic? Thanks.
I think everything is part of your arsenal. You need to cover everywhere. Don't think about social media as direct ROI and direct response. It's not. It's about brand awareness. If you ask Facebook today about Facebook advertising, they'll tell you it's a brand awareness tool and not a direct response.
Yeah, I think I saw quite a few brokers that went to LinkedIn. So it is there. I'm not aware of Instagram, but...
LinkedIn is awesome. You can find a lot of groups with especially traders that are talking about the automated trading and algo trading, because these people are basically smart. So mostly you will find them on LinkedIn. And there is no point you don't target them on LinkedIn. It's just as simple as that.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, our distinguished speakers. By the amount of people taking notes, I define this panel as a success. Stay here because we have immediately another panel about setting up in Cyprus, what you need to know. It will be as hands-on as this one, specifically about costs, about in setting up in Cyprus. Thank you.